And welcome back. And as promised, we have the newspapers and what's making headlines right now. But before we get into the proper headlines, can we just talk about all the pamphlets?
Oh, no, I can't take it anymore. The pamphlets, the SMSs, the emails, the WhatsApps, the alerts, the planes flying above. I think you all know what we're talking about. Black Friday. Ah, man. You open the newspapers and it's actually got very little news in it. It's just like piles of specials fall out.
I mean, everywhere. Black Friday, Black Friday. Look, and you'll see it just now. All these papers, it's just about Black Friday.
Yeah,
but let's take a closer look at some of the stories making headlines now. And starting with the business day, Majila offers to go if PIC board plays ball. Now, this is an interesting one. Africa's largest asset manager given until Friday, that's tomorrow, to accept the CEO's terms for voluntarily leaving. And we'll get into greater detail about this story with Scopa's Tembakodi chairperson there. And we'll be speaking to him shortly about exactly this story. And moving on to some of the other stories on that front page, economists, a bank rates decision too close to call. You also mentioned this one earlier. The Monetary Policy Committee, they are expected to make an announcement about interest rates this afternoon. And it would seem the Economist, it's almost split down the middle, but slight majority feels that there will be a 25 basis point rates hike. And I'm praying it goes the other way, of course. Eskom halves maintenance spending in financial crunch. 80% the energy availability factor that Eskom needs for the system to run without risk.
Sure. All right. Okay. And then, of course, Black Friday in the corner.
Black Friday.
So I've got the front page of the Citizen, which I've removed the entire Black Friday front page, and we've gone and scanned the Black Friday front page, unfortunately. So you're going to get all the adverts there instead of what's actually on the front page. That's what's happening with all the newspapers today. There's a lot of money being spent on it. Anyway, it's got a double front page. The front one has got a adverts, but this one's actually got all the stories on. And this one is saying, and this I began talking about, and I think we're going to take this forward in the next hour here on Morning Live, and that's all got to do with the Auditor General's report. Kimi Makwetu warning government he'll soon be empowered to hunt down culprits after revealing a shocking 80 billion rand in wasteful expenditure. He says it's enough to fund 7 years of free education. We need that to sink in. You know, the reality is, and I often ask this question, if all of this money that's been lost due to wasteful expenditure has been used for its rightful purpose, can you imagine where we would be as a country? Can you imagine where we should be as a country because of that? I mean, this report goes on to say here, it was into analysts basically saying, emerging researchers talking about that money that we've lost, saying, for this year, we estimate the cost of funding the phasing in of free education for first-year tertiary students to be 7.3 billion rand, right? Now, remember in the back of your mind how much we've lost, 80 billion rand. And for the next 3 years, it would cost 40 billion rand. Now, already there is free education paid for with change. And that is what's heartbreaking about all of this. And then you still have stories that just come over and over again of how much is being wasted and how much, you know, departments don't have. We've got the Department of Education coming here. You heard him 2 days ago saying, yeah, but we just don't have money to fix the toilets.
By the way, the Departments of Education, Health, they were also flagged as some of the departments that are worst performing.
It's just not right. Anyway, so that's that big story on the Auditor General, which is just unacceptable. And here's an interesting one. It's a different sort of angle on the Cyril to trim fat in his administration. Now, you know, we've been talking very much about our president cutting down the cabinet size. And
the operative word being talking. We've been
talking about it. So we're talking further. And there's lots of fancy words coming out here. They're saying President Ramaphosa may not just be planning to trim his cabinet, but could go further beyond that to reconfigure the entire government machinery to enable it to run smoothly and to deliver services to the people. There's speculation, this was after a Bloomberg report, that he was planning to establish a super economics ministry. Okay, keep that in your mind. It quoted 3 sources familiar with the matter, reporting that the president may create a super ministry for economic policy as part of an overhaul of cabinet. The new ministry will combine various economic departments, including the National Treasury, to simplify policy formulation and avoid the duplication of roles. It goes into a lot more detail. It's very fancy words. And
yeah,
it's very
what does
fancy.
it all mean in
no
practice?
Idea.
Can
but
we
in other words,
simplify it?
Streamline the entire cabinet down, make it into its minimal, join certain cabinets so that it actually becomes this so-called super economic ministry.
Pardon my skepticism, but you know, can we
fancy,
just get
though.
to a point where we do things and we actually see positive results that benefits all of us as a nation?
Can I catch you? I'm going to give you the catch, though. This is not going to happen anytime soon.
Of course it's not.
No, it's not.
No.
And that's what they go on to say in the article. This is not going to come anytime soon.
Nobody's going to rock the boat before elections.
It's
Come
just
on.
talk at the moment.
Yeah, of course. We've been talking. That's why I said that's the operative word. We'll continue talking for the foreseeable future.
All right, what do you got there?
All right, I've got the Sowetan. Now, as you said, move over the Black Friday page.
Take the Black Friday
and then
page.
getting into this one. And their story there, their lead, Mike Mangena in a drug bust.
Sure.
Now, we had the story in our bulletin, and former soccer star and commentator charged after a drug laboratory was allegedly found on his farm. And then also another story they carried the Sowetan today. Pastor prayed and then raped us. And this story is on page 6, and it has a wife recalling how she was raped by her pastor, and he now faces 4 accounts of rape and sexual assault. And this is a pastor in Tshwane, 43-year-old pastor who cannot be named at this stage because he's yet to plead in court. So that story as well. And of course, Praveen defends his daughter. Some of the stories in today's Sowetan.
Okay, those are your newspapers. We're going to take a break here on the program. We've got some weather for you. And I think Thembagodi, is that?
Yeah. We're just trying to locate
hold of
him.
him.
And
Okay.
usually, you know, he's very prompt, so very reliable. So, Mr. Goti, maybe if there's something wrong, but we'll keep trying. But we're hoping to speak to Thembagodi about the PIC story. Appearing in Parliament yesterday, talking about legal advice that they had received that stated that, you know, confidentiality rules didn't allow them to divulge certain information to Scopa, and Scopa having none of that. And also, Majila, the CEO there, well, he has indicated that he's willing to go because, remember, there have been calls for him to step down as the CEO because of a whole lot of allegations and also so-called questionable dealings under his watch as CEO of the PIC. But he is now saying, yeah, I'll go, but I'll tell you under which conditions I'll go and when I will go.
Right.
So we want to hear from Thembagodi how all of this fits together.
Right,
so we'll try, we'll definitely keep trying to get him. As soon as he's available, we'll take this story forward.
Awesome. Okay, let's get the break, then we'll bring